the pristine boardrooms of Cephalon Incorporated, where Pennsylvania executives orchestrated a pharmaceutical empire built on sleep disorders and neurological treatments, a culture of aggressive marketing had taken root that would ultimately cost the company $425 million in federal penalties. This wasn't just another case of corporate misconduct. This was a systematic campaign to transform a narrowly approved narcolepsy medication into a billion-dollar blockbuster through illegal off-label promotion that endangered patients and corrupted medical practice across America. The year 2008 would mark the beginning of the end for Cephalon's fraudulent marketing schemes, as federal investigators began unraveling a web of deception that stretched from company headquarters to doctors' offices nationwide. Cephalon's crown jewel was Provigil, known generically as modafinil, a wakefulness-promoting drug that received FDA approval in 1998 for a single specific indication: treating excessive daytime sleepiness associated with narcolepsy. The Food and Drug Administration had been crystal clear about Provigil's approved uses, limiting its prescription to patients suffering from this rare sleep disorder that affects fewer than 200,000 Americans. But Cephalon's executives saw a much larger opportunity, recognizing that millions of Americans struggled with fatigue, shift work sleep issues, depression-related tiredness, and attention deficit disorders. The problem was that promoting Provigil for these unapproved uses was strictly prohibited under federal law, which requires pharmaceutical companies to market drugs only for their FDA-approved indications. What followed was one of the most brazen off-label marketing campaigns in pharmaceutical history, orchestrated by a company that systematically trained its sales force to circumvent federal regulations while maintaining plausible deniability. The illegal marketing strategy began in earnest around 2002, when Cephalon executives developed sophisticated training programs designed to teach sales representatives how to promote Provigil for off-label uses without explicitly stating those uses. Sales reps were instructed to approach physicians treating patients with depression, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, shift work sleep disorder, and chronic fatigue with carefully crafted messages that skirted the boundaries of federal law. They would discuss the drug's mechanism of action, its ability to promote wakefulness, and its potential benefits for various types of fatigue without directly recommending it for unapproved conditions. Internal company documents later revealed that Cephalon had identified depression-related fatigue as a massive market opportunity, with executives calculating that successfully penetrating this market could generate hundreds of millions in additional revenue. The company also targeted shift workers, military personnel, and patients with multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, and other conditions that caused fatigue, despite having no FDA approval for these uses. Cephalon's deceptive practices extended far beyond verbal sales pitches to include a comprehensive array of marketing materials, medical education programs, and speaker bureaus designed to influence physician prescribing patterns. The company created glossy brochures and scientific presentations that emphasized Provigil's wakefulness-promoting properties, while carefully avoiding direct claims about unapproved uses, allowing physicians to draw their own conclusions about the drug's potential applications. They funded continuing medical education programs that featured prominent physicians discussing the broader applications of wakefulness-promoting agents, effectively using third-party experts to deliver messages that Cephalon couldn't legally communicate directly. The Speaker Bureau program was particularly insidious, with Cephalon paying physicians substantial fees to deliver presentations at medical conferences and dinner meetings that promoted off-label uses of Provigil. These physician speakers were provided with slide decks and talking points that highlighted the drug's benefits for various forms of fatigue, while maintaining the fiction that these were independent medical opinions rather than company-sponsored marketing messages. The financial incentives driving this illegal marketing campaign were enormous, with Provigil sales exploding from $44 million in 1999 to more than $887 million by 2008. Federal investigators later determined that approximately 90% of Provigil prescriptions were for off-label uses, meaning that the vast majority of the drug's commercial success was built on illegal marketing practices. Cephalon's stock price soared during this period, rising from single digits to peaks above $80 per share, while executives collected millions in bonuses and stock options tied to the company's financial performance. The pressure to maintain this growth led to increasingly aggressive marketing tactics, with sales representatives receiving explicit quotas and incentives based on their ability to expand Provigil's market beyond its approved indication. Internal emails and company documents revealed that senior executives were fully aware of the off-label marketing strategy, with some communications explicitly acknowledging that these practices violated federal regulations while expressing confidence that the company could avoid prosecution. The illegal marketing scheme began to unravel in 2007 when a former Cephalon sales representative filed a whistleblower lawsuit under the False Claims Act, alleging that the company had systematically promoted Provigil for unapproved uses while knowing that federal healthcare programs would reimburse these illegal prescriptions. The whistleblower, a veteran pharmaceutical sales representative who had worked for Cephalon for several years, provided federal investigators with detailed accounts of the company's training programs, marketing strategies, and internal communications that demonstrated the systematic nature of the off-label promotion campaign. This lawsuit triggered a comprehensive federal investigation involving the Department of Justice, the Food and Drug Administration, and multiple U.S. attorneys' offices as prosecutors began assembling evidence of healthcare fraud, wire fraud, and violations of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. The investigation revealed that Cephalon had not only promoted Provigil illegally, but had also engaged in similar practices with other drugs in its portfolio, including Gabitril and Actic. As federal investigators dug deeper into Cephalon's practices, they uncovered evidence of a corporate culture that prioritized sales growth over regulatory compliance and patient safety. Internal company documents showed that executives had received warnings from regulatory affairs staff about the legal risks of off-label marketing, but had chosen to proceed with aggressive promotional strategies anyway. The company's compliance program was revealed to be largely cosmetic, with policies and procedures designed more to provide legal cover than to prevent actual violations. Sales representatives testified that they had received explicit instructions to promote off-label uses during training sessions, while managers had encouraged them to maximize market penetration regardless of FDA-approved indications. The investigation also revealed that Cephalon had manipulated clinical trial data and selectively published research results to support off-label marketing claims, withholding negative safety and efficacy data that might have discouraged off-label prescribing. The patient safety implications of Cephalon's illegal marketing were significant and deeply troubling to federal prosecutors building their case. Provigil had been approved for narcolepsy based on clinical trials involving patients with that specific condition, but the drug's safety and efficacy for depression, ADHD, and other off-label uses had not been established through rigorous clinical testing. Patients taking Provigil for unapproved indications faced unknown risks and uncertain benefits, while physicians making prescribing decisions based on Cephalon's misleading marketing materials lacked the scientific evidence needed to properly evaluate the drug's risk-benefit profile. The investigation revealed cases of patients experiencing serious adverse events after taking Provigil for off-label uses, including psychiatric symptoms, cardiovascular complications, and severe skin reactions. Federal prosecutors argued that Cephalon had essentially conducted an uncontrolled experiment on millions of patients, using the American healthcare system as a testing ground for unapproved drug uses while collecting billions in revenue. The financial settlement announced in September 2008 was one of the largest pharmaceutical fraud penalties in history at that time, with Cephalon agreeing to pay $425 million to resolve federal criminal and civil charges. The settlement included a criminal fine of $50 million and civil penalties of $375 million, reflecting the scope and severity of the company's illegal marketing practices. Under the terms of the agreement, Cephalon pleaded guilty to criminal charges related to off-label marketing and entered into a comprehensive corporate integrity agreement that required extensive monitoring of its marketing and compliance practices for 5 years. The whistleblower who initiated the investigation received approximately $60 million as their share of the civil settlement, highlighting the crucial role that insider information played in exposing the fraud. The settlement also required Cephalon to implement enhanced compliance programs, submit all promotional materials for pre-approval review, and provide detailed reporting on its marketing activities to federal regulators. The Cephalon case represented a watershed moment in federal enforcement of pharmaceutical marketing regulations, demonstrating prosecutors' willingness to pursue massive financial penalties against companies that systematically violated off-label marketing restrictions. The $425 million settlement sent shockwaves through the pharmaceutical industry, serving notice that illegal marketing practices would face severe financial consequences regardless of a company's size or market position. The case established important precedents for prosecuting off-label marketing fraud, including the use of False Claims Act theories to recover federal healthcare program payments for illegally promoted drugs, and the application of criminal charges against corporate entities for systematic regulatory violations. Federal prosecutors emphasized that the settlement was designed not only to punish past misconduct, but to deter future violations through comprehensive monitoring and oversight requirements that would fundamentally change how Cephalon conducted its business. The case also highlighted the effectiveness of whistleblower incentives in exposing pharmaceutical fraud, encouraging other industry insiders to report illegal marketing practices to federal authorities. For Cephalon, the settlement marked the end of its independence as a pharmaceutical company, with the financial and reputational damage contributing to its eventual acquisition by Teva Pharmaceutical Industries in 2011 for $6.8 billion, closing the chapter on one of the most egregious cases of pharmaceutical marketing fraud in American history.